Hello, and welcome to another edition of 615 Preps Coaches and Q. Today we're coming to you from Dickey's Barbecue Pit at 70 White Bridge Road in Nashville, Tennessee. Dickey's is celebrating 80 years of legendary barbecue since 1941. And speaking of legendary, in this episode we will speak with a coach who is a living legend of his own, Nashville's own Maurice Fitzgerald, who after 36 years of coaching, 34 in the metro area, is retiring. Now, Dickey's is the largest barbecue franchise in the U.S. with over 500 locations. They pride themselves on Texas-style barbecue, slow smoke daily, handmade delicious sides, and outstanding customer service. And although the barbecue may be Texas-style, owners Tony and Sarah Pasica are doing some things that are making Dickey's Barbecue Pit uniquely Nashville. So let's go inside and see what's smoking. We're here with the Pasica family. The owners, Tony and Sarah and Vanessa Underwood. And we are here. These are the owners of the franchise. I can smell that hickory smoke from here. Show us the sweet tip.
Well, the way our hickory smoke goes out, we do wood. We put it in our smoker right here. That's where all the magic comes from, where all that smell it just tears out there in the parking lot all the way up to Target there. People smell it from around. They just enjoy that smell. They come around, they're like, where'd that smell come from? Of course, it's coming from our restaurant.
I can smell it over on Charlotte. I got here in a hurry. Now, you guys kind of walk us through your process. I know that you make a lot of all of your sides and features from scratch.
Yes, we do. Every day we get here, we start off the morning, we have meat in here from overnight that smokes for 14 hours, which is our brisket, our pulled pork. So when we get here throughout the morning, we're already pulling our meat ready for the next day. My wife and my mom and my son and all of us, they go back there, they start making the mac and cheese, the green beans. Everything is completely made from scratch from morning all the way out through the day.
Outstanding. And you do all this, 24 hours a day, or 7 days a week, I'm sorry.
This is 7 days a week from 11 to 9 here. We have another store that opens here around August or September in Lebanon that will be 24 hours a day.
Oh boy.
We'll be smoking all the time, man.
Harold, former coach at Hillsboro, retiring this year, Coach.
Yes, sir.
We'll go a little bit through your resume, and you correct me if I'm wrong because I've been wrong too many times to count. But you're originally right here, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, sir. Went to Hume Fogg High School, graduated from Hume Fogg, went to Tennessee State University, played under the legendary John Merritt and Coach Joe Gilliam and Coach Alvin Coleman.
Wow. So you've been coaching for, 36 years, 34 here in Nashville?
Yeah, about 36 years.
Yeah.
About seven years in middle school, which a lot of fun. It kind of brings you back to earth real quick.
Well, yeah. You were named this year, I believe, the All-City Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
So you had a definitely a good year this year, and you've had quite a run at Hillsboro since 2017.
Yes, sir. Been there 4 years.
Yep. So reviewing your history, you've got quite the resume. 2 state championships as a head coach. What do you attribute your longevity as a coach in the metro area?
I think just really being a servant, being a servant of the good Lord, and trying to just impact student athletes as best you can. Being with your children, being involved in athletics, gave you insight and input on how you wanted to, treat kids. And you can't treat all of them the same, but you can love them all.
And now you've announced you're stepping down as head coach at Hillsboro. What made this the right time to step down?
I think a couple of things. One thing, we hadn't played at home in 3 years. So with the with all the construction being completed at the beginning of this year in August, is the next coach would have a lot of things that he doesn't have to worry about. Have to be on the road. Magnificent stadium. They have a flex field on top of the garage, which would be turf. There are a lot of things. The weight room, the practice facilities. Everything is in place. You want to leave a situation a little bit better than you first arrived. But I think that having these things certainly would help a young coach or an old coach or anybody that's coming in. You want to be able to come in and go to work.
Well, that's pretty much the definition of a legacy, is leaving something better than the way you found it. And
sure.
that sounds like that is the going out at that point. I see where that would make sense.
Yes.
Is the stadium going to be ready for this year?
It'll be ready, and it's magnificent. This new stadium, the garage is connected to the stadium, which is connected to the weight room and the locker room. It's just magnificent. Went over there. I had a chance to go. I really hadn't observed a lot in the last 3 years. You just kind of put your head down and go to work. But now you were able to go over and walk through and see all the things all the amenities that they have, all the things at their disposal. The new track, they have an 8-lane track with high jump, long jump pit. It's just wonderful to see this, and the student athletes really deserve it. So I'm looking forward to all the good things that happen at Hillsborough High School.
Outstanding. Well, you kind of grew up in that area, right?
Sure. Sure.
So you talked about growing up in the Edge Hill community and attending Hume Fogg in the 70s. Tell us a little bit about your high school experience then, and what the primary differences are between that time and what kids are facing today.
Well, when I went to Hume Fogg, I had a great coach by the name of Coach Al Dennis, and Coach Dennis really was a great influence as far as I'm concerned. He really never heard him curse. I don't think that applied to me sometimes, but but he always would say, if he got real mad, he would say, you know what, that chaps my butt severely. And I still say that in a lot of our ex-teammates, we get together, we always kind of mimic him. But, he did a lot. He was a great example of what a man should be, and he did everything that he could for us and gave us an opportunity to be successful. And so those are the things that I learned, and making sure that, you just become a better person. Are circumstances harder on kids today than they were when you were growing up, or are they easier? Or well, I think that you can look at it a lot of ways, but there's a lot of things pulling on the kids, and certainly there's some things, some barriers that you have to overcome. No matter where a student athlete goes to school. I know in our particular case, always transportation is the issue. It's always been an issue. So you try to eliminate some of those barriers. Just, being all the things that they could be doing now instead of playing athletics. And a lot of it is kind of, when we grew up, we were always outside playing, never inside until it was time to come to dinner. And that's when the street lights came on. So you knew to be in. But now, nobody knows. You don't know your neighbors. Nobody knows one another in the neighborhood. And we would, travel. Our neighborhoods would play other neighborhoods in baseball, basketball, and football. So we were always outside doing something, getting a lot of physical activities and being a part of a team. So, moving into high school, you knew kind of that team concept. You knew how to get along with people. Myself, I didn't really, go to school. It was, it wasn't integrated until I got into 10th grade. But, when I went to Hume Fogg, it was about 50-50, and it was the best time of my life, because it wasn't an issue, because you knew from your parents that you knew how to act. You know how to treat people. You know how to treat people with respect. So it was the best time of my life at Hume Fogg.
So you think that's what you're describing, correct me if I'm wrong, but a loss of community maybe in what you're talking about, how you grew up with everybody knowing everybody. And
there's no question. You had accountability. You know, the people in the neighborhood, they knew you. You know, you couldn't escape those eyes. There was always some eyes on you. There were always concerns about you and your welfare and making sure that you were the very best you could be. If not, they would relate that to your parents or your grandparents or whatever, and then you would certainly get scolded when you got home. But we just had such a camaraderie as far as children in the neighborhood and playing. And, you know, if that was a, you know, discrepancy or disagreement, you know, you forgot about that the next day. Or, you know, these kids may, you know, remember that the next day or the next week or what have you.
Well, you know, looking at high school sports, you know, over the times that you've been coaching and the time you played, what improvements have been made in the area of high school sports, and maybe where have we failed or at least not made the improvements the way we should?
Well, no question, strength and conditioning and all the avenues as far as, you know, AAU, 7-on-7, a lot of these pilot programs that students are getting involved in so early. And so we made a lot of improvement on nutrition, strength and conditioning. You know, you condition all year round. You know, people have personal trainers and all those things. We didn't have that. So those are some of the good things. I think some of the things that we're missing is that we're not able a lot of times to reach the kids where they are, to bring the kids into a fold quickly, because you don't have the feeder schools that really are attached. So you don't really have the feeder schools that, you know, come up like some of the county schools do. You know, they come up believing in the tradition and everything that's happening at their high school. They look forward to getting there. They can't wait to get there. Where our kids come from all in different directions. I don't think there's a pure high school whatsoever. You know, a lot of people say, you know, these students are supposed to be here and there. A lot of students at every different school. So, but they have no community base, you know, because they're coming from everywhere.
Right. Well, you know, you started coaching and head coach at Pearl-Cohn. How difficult is it to coach in the metro area now versus how it was then?
Well, I think that, you know, the only way I know how to do it really is to input that, you know, that fatherly figure as far as treating the young men like, and they knew that, you know, that, but now that, you know, there's certain things, you know, I remember in probably some old days, you can't do that anymore. You can't grab a kid by the face mask, and, you know, it wasn't anything to harm them. And certainly if anybody got harmed, it's probably your hand if you grabbed them. But, you know, some of those things you got to watch, you know, exactly how you say things. And I really don't pay a lot of attention to that, because, you know, I'm doing it out of love, and, you know, going to make sure those children are treated just like if my own sons were there. And if you do that, you don't have a problem if you keep the student athlete first and foremost.
I understand that. As a recipient of several face mask tugs back in the day.
Man. Tell you what, I can remember a lot of it, and you know, and kind of got your attention real quick, and you respected that, and you understood that, and you moved on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, Metro coaches face a lot of challenges that perhaps aren't felt in the other areas, or are not as impactful as other schools. What are some of those challenges that Metro coaches face that other programs don't?
Well, I believe, you know, one of the things, like I said, is the community base, having pride in your community, you know, and that trickles down to fundraising. You know, a lot of times, especially this year, we didn't have any gates, or even in us particularly, we hadn't had any home gates in 3 years. So fundraising is utmost important. We've been able to do a great job at Hillsborough and at Pearl-Cohn because of relationships that I built outside of the football and outside of the school that has been able to help us. You know, we've had great men to help us, you know, all throughout the years. One gentleman that I can't think enough, that he's done so much, probably as much for the inner city athlete as anybody I know, and that's Dan Crockett. And he was the CEO and owner of Franklin American Mortgage. But Dan Crockett has gone out of this way to do great things for the inner city. And if not for Dan Crockett and others, that we couldn't have the things that we had because we didn't have the finances to get uniforms and helmets and shoulder pads and all this, because we didn't have the money. You can't raise this kind of money that we need to be able to compete and be competitive. But you know, people like Dan and Bill Freeman and those kind of guys, and Dr. Rowe, Dennis Rowe, can just name some of these people that have given back. A young man that played for us at Hillsborough, that works at, well, he's one of the presidents, I think, at one of the banks, and that's Brock Kidd, and he's at Pinnacle Bank. And Brock played for me when I was at Hillsborough. And so these kind of people are able to give back and do and want to give back. And if you don't have that kind of support, you can't raise the funds that some of these teams that you're playing against, that they're raising, as well as, having probably strength and conditioning throughout the day in school. A lot of times we don't have that. Some of these teams that we're playing against, their strength and conditioning throughout the school day that's built in. Some of these things that are helping immensely that they're doing that we don't really, that we're behind the eight ball. We're behind the eight ball with our middle school, because they're going everywhere, You can go down the line, and most high schools in Metro, the middle schools, they go in and everywhere. So you don't really have that base.
As a TSU graduate, how do you feel about the Eddie George hire?
Eddie George, just like a lot of people, you're like, man, what's the deal? Why is he at TSU? But when you dig down, because I have a relationship with the athletic director and Mickey Allen, and Mickey Allen is a tremendous visionary. He has tremendous leadership abilities, and I really follow him as far as that is concerned. But I just personally, at first I was a little, just kind of, a little leery. But when I just stopped and thought about it and what he brings to the table and his expertise in football, football is football, and his leadership and beyond all that, he's a good man, and it starts there. And when it starts there, he can reach people. He can get a coaching staff that's going to be very productive, a coaching staff that is tremendous as far as knowledge based. And so I look forward to Eddie George coming and leading the Tennessee State University Tigers through a new era. I think Coach Reed did a great job in a lot of ways, but I think now it's time for a new leadership, and I think that the community is ready for a change and look forward to Eddie George and getting behind him.
I know that one thing I'm looking forward to, which is just astounding to me, you have won awards for your chili. Now
Yes,
tell me about this chili, because I'm going to try it later.
The chili is made with a base and the ingredients we put in it. It's made every day, completely fresh. It's put on the stove, warmed, and then we put it in the pot. People love it over the brisket, over the pulled pork. We even have people that buy them in the big jugs for tailgate parties for football games.
Because you're more than, barbecue is your bread and butter, but you do a lot here.
Yes, we do.
A lot more. So anything you might possibly want is going to be on your menu. It looks like.
Yes, it will be. Yes.
Outstanding. Now, one thing I know that we were talking about is you guys are very, very heavily involved in the community. Can you tell me about some of your community programs?
Yes, some of our programs we're with is ACH with Challenge to News. We do about the first responders, because first responders is a foundation that Dickey's Barbecue Pit started back in 1988. So Miss Dickey started the foundation for the first responders. So we go out, we do a lunch every Wednesday, take it to whatever unit comes up, whether it's police department, fire department, ambulance, hospitals, wherever you can think of a first responder is, we take it to them. We show them how much we appreciate all their service and hard work they do for us.
Outstanding. And I understand that you've done several other kind of outreaches. You provided food for the homeless. You at one time when the snowstorm hit, you guys were the only place open.
Yes, we was.
Yep.
Yes, we was.
What was that like?
It was rough. It was amazing, but it was really interesting. Getting able to go out, help the community, help the electric company get the city back up, feeding the homeless, feeding the first responders, just doing whatever we could to do our part.
And I tell you, from the steady stream of customers rolling in here, I'm very, I'm glad we were able to catch a little moment, a little break here, because it's obvious the way you guys greet people, and the way they greet you back, that they're appreciative, that they know, and that it's something that, honestly, you guys can be very proud of.
Yes, it is. I mean, we look at ourselves as a family oriented. We love the community. We love the people we have coming in. And to us, they are family. You have restaurants that don't think about that where we do, because we've all been in this hard time of this pandemic that's been going on. But now we're a family restaurant that we want to give to others as much as they give to us.
Thank you so much for interviewing us, hosting us. We are very much appreciative of your efforts that you've done for the community. We're very much appreciative of what you've done for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coach, we talked a little bit about you being without a home field. As a coach, how difficult is it to adjust to a team having no home games?
Well, it's relatively hard, but kids, they're again are very resilient. You look forward to just participating and playing, and there are some advantages and disadvantages. You're always going to be on the bus. You always have to leave and get there a little early. You're going to have your fellowship with Christian athletes meeting and dinner a little early, because you're going to have to get out of there, especially always, playing on the road. So, but their advantage, you don't have to line the field, you don't have to cut the grass. You just look for little things that it make you feel like, oh, it's not that bad. But, we always want to play in front of our home fans. We seem to play much harder in front of your friends and your family and friends. So it's been difficult, difficult not to have, the band and hear the band playing. It's just so many things that, that you feel good about playing at home that we didn't get to do. And after 3 years, I guess you kind of get insulated and you say, well, it doesn't really bother us. But deep down, it does, but there's nothing you can do about it.
And you have that added expense of travel and the loss of the gate.
Yeah, those combination of things, loss of gate, the travel, money, all that adds up. And like I said, you don't have any money, you don't have any gate money. So, but the student athletes, they deserve, good things just like other schools that you play against. So you just have to go out, and like I said, we've been very fortunate to have people that have supported me throughout the years, and we couldn't have done it without the help from sponsors and supporters.
Well, last year, COVID-19 delayed your start, and your kids had to watch as other kids got to play and practice. And then you and other Metro coaches had to go before the school board and make your case. Why is it so vital that the Metro kids get to play?
Well, just one thing that, our director of schools, Dr. Battle, of course, she has done an outstanding job, and she did and is doing now what she feels is right. But the student athletes, they get to look around. I mean, we write probably two blocks from David Lipscomb. They look at those kids from David Lipscomb, coach, why are they playing? Why are the kids from FRA playing? Why are the kids from Brentwood Academy playing? Why are the kids from NBA playing? These schools are within 5 miles, and they're playing and they're participating. And you can say, well, I don't know. They say, well, it's the same COVID. Are they dealing with? Are we dealing with? Is there a different COVID? I said, no, I think it's the same COVID. But, from whatever, the health policies, and you have different people that are telling you different things, and you have to take all into consideration. But I thought it was very important. I thought it was very important to fight for what I felt and some of the other coaches thought was the right thing. And the children, and the funny thing about it, it's probably the best attended practices that we had. And not knowing that they're going to ever play, they kept playing. They kept coming every day. They kept coming. They kept going out there and in the sweat and the hot and the sun and the rain, and they just kept coming back. Didn't know they were going to play, but just trusting in me and trusting in the other coaches in Metro that they were just going to get an opportunity just one day just to get out there and play. Because if you really look at it, probably only 5 or 6, maybe 5% of kids are ever going to go on to play in college. And so this was the last frontier that they have to be unified and with their friends and buddies, and to be in the locker room and tell stories and all this. You won't really miss it until years later, but I think they sensed that. So they just kept coming to practice every day with a great attitude, and we heard this from other schools as well. So we just kept moving forward, didn't know what the next day was going to bring, but we were just hoping and praying that they had that opportunity, and they did. And it was just, when we told them they were going to get to play, it was just like a tremendous eruption, just so happy that they got an opportunity. Because like I said, most of them won't get a chance to move on to play in college.
Now, I remember the press conference that you guys had, all the Metro coaches got together, and you mentioned Lipscomb. You had a pretty powerful ally in Trent Dilfer come along to attend that press conference on a day that they actually had to play a game on a Thursday night. So how big was that, having his support and having everybody in Metro come together for that cause?
Well, truly, Coach Dilfer, he's that kind of man. He's that dude, to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. You looked around, and he didn't really want to say anything. He was just there in support of what we were doing. But he was there. We had to get him to say something, and he's just a tremendous ally. Not only was he there, we were having problems with our field, didn't have a field of practice, and he allowed us to practice in the spring about a couple of years ago. So he's really just a friend of high school athletics. He's just a good man. So to see him there, and he didn't have to be there, he really didn't. And that says a lot about who he is, and you can tell by the team that he's putting on the field now. He's going to be a problem.
How difficult was it coaching through the remainder of the season once your kids got off the field, knowing that you were behind as far as just even having games?
We knew that they were behind. We knew that there were situation obstacles in front of us that we couldn't control. All we could control is what we had in front of us. That's to come out, work hard, get ready to play as best we could, as fast as we could. And it hurt us more so in the little nagging injuries, the soft tissue injuries that we were having, the little pulls and strains and those kind of things that probably should have been worked out 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, prior to that. We were getting them. And so those are the kind of things that we were experiencing as we started. But we got through that and persevered and moved forward. But certainly it presented a lot of problems.
When you look toward 2021, of course, you won't be as a head coach in the role. But when your successor takes the field at Hillsborough, what's he going to get as far as the program, as far as the roster he's inheriting?
I think he's whoever that person is. I'm hoping it's one particular person, but we have a good staff. They're good men. Also, like I said, everything is in place, from uniforms to new flex helmets to all the blocking equipment and practice equipment. We got a pretty good booster club now with the quarterback club. Miss Ethan, I call her Miss Ethan. Her last name is so hard to pronounce with her, but she knows who it is. But we have support there, and they have a good infrastructure ready and developed for whoever the next coach is. There some of the things that he won't have to experience that some of the Metro schools that are experienced, and maybe even some of the other outlying schools that don't have the support. So he's got a lot of things working with him. He's got a pretty good nucleus of student athletes coming back. The culture is much better. We have some kids that just a delight to coach. One of them is Devin Bester, a young man that plays lacrosse. He probably is one of the top student athletes that I've ever been around. Just an outstanding student, tremendous person. So we have a lot of those kind of kids there. So the culture, I think, is very good.
So you feel, I guess you got to feel pretty good, where the program is and where things are at Hillsborough, handing that off. A lot of new stuff and a lot of exciting stuff happening.
I'm excited about handing it off to the next coach. To be able to be put in a position where he doesn't start from ground zero. I mean, he's up and running, whoever gets that position, and I'm just hoping it's a person that I've had the pleasure of being around for the last 4 years that has that opportunity.
Now, do you plan on becoming a consultant role with the program still?
I think so, if this right person, or not the right person, but a person that I would hope that possibly would get the job. I would be behind him with help with fundraising, doing all the dirty work, anything that he asks me to do can make his job much easier, or whoever job it is, but especially if it's one of the young men that had opportunity to coach with.
Well, despite all the difficulties, and you had that 0-3 start, because you were, coming out behind, as Chris had said. You lose, two games to two good teams by a touchdown each, and then you had a forfeit, which, you go on a dominating 4-game run into the postseason. How did you keep your team focused after a slow start like that?
Well, I think one of the things that, although we had the soft tissue injuries and so forth, we were relatively healthy. And if you're going to be a good team, no matter you can kind of look and kind of be parallel with a team that's healthy. If you remain pretty much healthy, especially the athletes that you need to be healthy, that they remain healthy, you always at least got a good chance at being competitive. And once you get on the field, things can happen in high school. I've seen 10-0 teams, going to the playoffs and losing the first game. So you want to be healthy. That's probably the main objective to going in. And we had pretty good leadership with our seniors. And like I said, the coaching staff was pretty good. And we look forward to just playing. I think the kids were so eager and just for the opportunity to play. They didn't really care when they played, where they played, how, but just wanted to play.
Your defense stepped it up after that. And, with the exception of the Cane Ridge victory, which was a shootout. And then you rolled over a Patriot team that was very explosive before you ended the season. Considering all that went on, do you believe your team met or exceeded your expectations?
I believe so. I believe they did. I believe they put themselves in a position. And really what's what you want to do in high school is put yourself in a position to be successful. If you never put yourself in a position, you don't have that opportunity. So we did put ourselves in position. We played a real good beast team at the end. We played them extremely well. The first game probably, had an opportunity to win as well as Pearl-Cohn. We dropped a pass, unfortunately in zone, and probably would have won the game. But there again, we play a good beast team at Beach, and we probably, I think the first 4 drives we inside the 10 and just didn't score. And when you don't score against a team like that, and then you give them an opportunity to get up off the ground, the kind of things kind of start steamroll and just went downhill. But it probably wasn't indicative of the team we had up until that time. I felt pretty good. But, you just take your hats off to Beach. They were a better team, and you just move forward.
Now, you had several players sign this year to or walk on to play at the next level. Just to name a couple, Jalen Macon went to Arkansas, was going to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yes, sir.
Adrian Huey to Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
Hillsboro's had a number of players getting looks from several programs on the roster. How do you help kids with that kind of talent prepare for the next level?
Well, number one, you got to make sure that they're academically eligible. That's, Coach Anthony Brown has done an outstanding job with that, and making sure and following up kids and making sure they submitted all the paperwork and so forth. But we also have a young man that's a lineman, Jacob Hood, and he's pretty much a late bloomer. He just turned 17 about 3 months ago, so I guess he's about 6'8", about 340 now. He's lost about 100 pounds. So he's just really just coming into himself, and now, he kind of reclassed where he'll be going in the spring instead of, next year. So he'll be coming with the opportunity to play. He's got Michigan, Miami, Auburn, I guess Tennessee, all the SEC schools, I think, except Alabama. So I think a lot of people are seeing this, this huge kid that really just now is really putting things together confidence-wise.
Well, college-bound athletes aren't the only students that you're helping preparing for life after high school. What can you tell me about the In Full Motion program?
Well, In Full Motion is a 501c program that we started, my wife and I, 20 years ago, probably more than that, to help pretty much the inner-city student athlete become academically eligible because the ACT was such a barrier. Kids are having such a problem with the ACT. We provided, breakfast and funds to make sure these kids, and there was a lady, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention her name. She's passed now, but her name was Miss Mary Lee Bunch, and she was out of Brentwood, Tennessee, and she started the program. She was probably the top ACT person in the country, and she was on our board. She was there every Saturday. She impacted our students so much, and she made this program one of the top programs in the country. And so we're able to help these young people through tutoring and mentoring and even job readiness and other things to help them become a better citizen. And the program is helped, I don't know, thousands of young people to go on. You see them all the time. You run into families and parents saying that, my child, was in Full Motion. My child got a scholarship, and my child is doing this, and it's because of In Full Motion. So that just makes me feel, and my wife and all the people that are involved in Full Motion, it just gives us a great, we just love to hear that when people are saying that about us, and these kids are becoming very productive citizens.
If people wanted to donate to In Full Motion, how do they do that?
Well, this is a 501c nonprofit, and you can get in touch with us with 615-254-6800. That's pretty much an easy number, 615-254-6800. My wife is Cynthia Fitzgerald. She's an attorney, and she graduated from Vanderbilt Law School. She came up through the inner city just like myself. She spent her first 21 years in the projects, and she was able to go to McGavitt and MTSU, and then got us kind of a scholarship to Vanderbilt, and was able to get her degree from Vanderbilt, a law degree from Vanderbilt University.
Well, that's great. And if you want to check that out, check it out at infullmotion.org. That's one word, infullmotion.org.
Yes, sir.
So check that out.
So we show our appreciation no matter what. And that's not just with the fire department and the first responders. That's also with our armed force, our Air Forces, Army, Navy. That's with the dental, the hospital. All responders in every need we give 50% off to.
That's amazing. That is wonderful.
So we're loading this one down.
The barbecue pizza I load. I mean, you can't have a barbecue pizza unless you load it with barbecue.
There we go.
And make the sauce with the barbecue sauce with the original, and then when it comes out, I put the sweet sauce across the top of it. Makes it lip smacking.
There you go.
And now we get to the fun questions. The really important questions, which I've got new ones.
You've got new ones?
I've got new ones.
Okay.
I was tired of losing about the pineapple pizza thing.
Yeah. I'm going to ask that right away. Pineapple and pizza, do you like it or no?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
Believe it's what, 5-2 now?
It is, yeah, 5-2.
We'll officially retire that question now. That
I actually had already officially retired it, but thanks.
He's hit me with that so many times. It's like I don't do it either.
Yeah, I will eat pizza, and I will eat pineapple, but not together.
Not together. There you go. Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, Coach, clearly no one can speak to what is truly Nashville more than you. So you tell me, what is more Nashville, hot chicken or goo-goo clusters?
Hot chicken. Prince's hot chicken and some others hot chicken, Hal's hot chicken. Just hot chicken, man. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so what's more frustrating, Hillsborough Road traffic or bachelorette parties?
Hillsborough Road traffic.
I will second him on that.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been on that road when it wasn't congested.
Man, I tell you, man, there's no easy way around.
Well, Hollywood does its fair share of dramatizing high school athletics. What do you think is the most exaggerated or most misconstrued part of high school athletics that Hollywood just doesn't get right?
Oh, probably, I think how do you build a story, and make it really truthful, about a good program or a high school team or whatever. I think a lot of things has to be glamorized because it is high school and probably missing a lot of integral parts.
So which movie or show might get it most right?
Oh, I would say Three Stooges.
Nothing like an honest answer.
There we go. That's my favorite answer to that question so far. I got to admit.
Say, yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Which Nashville area high school is consistently the toughest to play in?
Oh, Nashville?
Yeah.
You probably would say Pearl-Cohn.
Pearl-Cohn. Well, going along with that, which area has the best high school atmosphere?
That's county and everything included?
Yeah. Just in your experience.
Man,
Do we exclude Hillsborough from this question?
Yeah,
just for the sake of discussion.
Yeah, just for his sake, let's exclude Hillsborough.
I would say beach, and a lot of it is because of the students and the fans. Boy, they're really riding you, and the players, and I really like that. Because that's a part of the culture. That's a part of high school, and that's the way it should be. They're not shouting any derogatory statements or anything like that, but they're really riding kids. Hey, number one, blah, blah, blah. And so, and I'm telling the kids, don't look up.
And over the past few years, Hillsborough Beach have had some really, really good games too.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Oh, good deal. Well, in all of your years as an educator, what are you the most proud of?
I think that being totally involved with the student athlete, not just because it's football or basketball or baseball season, but making sure that you are there and let them know that you're there and you're going to be there for the duration. Not when it's only good, but when it's bad or when they have issues and we can cry together and laugh together, knowing that you're just there for them.
What are you going to take away from your coaching career, and as far as a favorite moment of in those 36 years?
I think one of my probably favorite one. I don't say the referees used to call a lot back, but back in my days at Pearl-Cohn, they would call a lot back. So what I would do when we had a guy, a great back, Santonio Beard, and he would break those long runs, and what I'd do, I would just kind of just hit the ground. I'd dive on the ground because I knew they were going to bring it back. So we were in the playoff game. Well, this state championship game, and one of my coaches by name was Coach Tony Booth, which he's passed on now, but I think Santonio broke one long run. Of course, I knew they were going to bring it back, so I did. I hit the ground, and all of a sudden I felt the world weight on me, and it was Coach Booth that had tripped over me and falling on me and couldn't get up. And so I'm saying, Coach, get up. He said, I can't. I'm like, Lord, this is So we were laying there, and that probably was one of the most intriguing moments of my life.
You've had some former players also become head coaches in the Nashville area. Coach Brunetti over at Pearl-Cohn, Dan Davis, Jamal Stewart at East Nashville. Yeah. When you look back at some of their careers, what do you see from them that you are proud of?
Yeah, I'm very proud that we have one young man that's Coach Mason that's coaching, Rashad Mason that's coaching with us now that played for me. There are 5 guys at Pearl-Cohn that played for me, along with the 2, the offensive head coach and the head coach, Coach Brandon Woods and Coach Tony Brunetti. So it's guys and even guys into the junior pro ranks, which does a tremendous job with our young people, starting them off with the fundamentals. So when you just look around, it's just so many. You're like, man, I played a small part in what they can do, and hopefully that they can take some of the things that they learned from us and apply them to what they're doing in their lives.
It's a pretty nice little coaching tree to have.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Quite the legacy. Well, Coach, we thank you so much for joining us.
I enjoyed it myself.
You've certainly left your mark, an indelible mark on Metro Nashville and on thousands of kids in the metro area. And we can't thank you enough for talking with us and
Absolutely.
spending time with us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, and you do such a great job in helping promote the athletic spirit of football.
Well, Scott, you hungry?
I'm hungry. Let's get some food.
Coach, you hungry?
Hey, I second that emotion.
There we go. Let's go. All right, what do you think?
What do I think about what? About what do I think about this?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to die right here. I think it's heaven. It's amazing. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try the chili because that's the award-winning chili. So that's the first thing I'm going to try. So. You've heard me slap your mama good, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. If you want to continue to support our content and you like our coverage of Middle Tennessee High School football, please like and subscribe. And don't forget, click that little bell so you get notifications whenever we have new content. Thanks again.